Hi, I'm Dan Kuester. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies in the Economics Department here at Kansas State. And I wanted to take a few minutes to reflect upon how I'm continuing to keep teaching, how I'm using some of the great suggestions and resources from our folks at the Teaching and Learning Center that have really helped everybody on campus kind of keep moving in the right direction. The first thing we're doing in our economics classes is illustrating just how important our discipline is. I always like to talk about how economics is everywhere. And in both my principles classes and in my seminar classes, we're looking at the actual policies that are being implemented. This stimulus plan, comparing it to what happened after the Great Recession, the Great Depression, and reading articles from the Wall Street Journal that can critically evaluate these plans, talk about the relatively uniform agreement about a lot of the positives that have come from this first round of stimulus that have come through, but also talking about general economic concepts, things like what is seen and what is unseen, and how we have to think about not just what is apparently obvious in the short run, but we have to think about long run effects of these policies. The second thing I'm trying to do is just kind of a holistic thing. I've started taking the emotional temperature of everybody in the class each day as we start to teach. That may sound a little cheesy, but I think it's something that students have been really good about reflecting on and taking seriously. So I appreciate that, and just kind of have a resource for folks that finally, in kind of the pedagogy of what I'm doing in the class, I've elected to start a big assignment in terms of an econ selfie. Now, in the past, I've done this on a small scale where a few students have submitted econ selfies, but everyone in my principles class is submitting an econ selfie as a rather substantial assignment to replace one of the exams we can't fit in given the new constraints that we face. And our students have done a great job. I wanted to share with you some of the selfies that students have come up with. And I'm going to start with Danny and show her selfie and kind of show that each one of these selfies have a really well-defined explanation on top of the selfie. And Danny is very wise about understanding that her parking pass is a sunk cost. A sunk cost is something we've spent money on and we cannot recover, or we've spent time on and we cannot recover. I talk to students that we can apply the concept of sunk cost to relationships, bad movies, anything that we've kind of lost time or money on and we have to cut bait and move on. And I think this is really appropriate to look at the sunk cost example and relate it to where we are now, because I see K-Staters moving forward, making the best of situations and dealing with things positively. The other students that I'm going to share with you, their selfies, I'm just going to show the photo. Each one of these students has done an awesome job of explaining their photo. Jacob here has explained that the price of gas is relatively low right now because of low demand and high supply. And he explained that really well in his selfie, and it's one of those things I'm really pleased with the job that he did. Really reflective, we have Carly, who talks about the need for surgical masks as she works in a hospital in her hometown right now, but she's also reflecting upon, hey, maybe we don't just want to give these surgical masks to the highest bidder. Sometimes price is not the dominant way to make decisions, and she really reflected on that nicely. And then finally, Hannah, who's a great editor, obviously, here with her clever photo, is talking about the massive profit potential out there in hand sanitizer right now. Although, as you might expect from one of our nice students, Hannah's not actually selling that hand sanitizer an enormous profit. So, again, this is really indicative of the can-do we have at K-State and how we do ignore sunk costs and we move on and make the best of things. And I'm proud to be associated with my students and my fellow faculty members that are participating in this initiative. I am Dan Kuester, and I teach at K-State. Thanks for listening.